Aquaman was an incredibly fun movie and is definitely worth seeing. Now before you turn this video off, if anyone does watch this video, I have to acknowledge a couple things. I know this review might be coming late for movie review standards, but I still am trying to get the hang of this thing, so have grace. Aquaman is a story about Arthur Curry, played by Jason Momoa, who is a hybrid of a human and an Atlantean. Trying to figure out his place in both worlds, he has become completely fine with being human with superpower abilities. That's when Mera, the princess of some Atlantean kingdom, played by Amber Heard, comes to Arthur to convince him that he is the true king of Atlantis, and he must take his place as the king, or his half-brother Orm will take the throne and will use the kingdoms of the ocean to rule the world. Honestly, the director James Wan did a fantastic job directing this movie. He used decent camera angles, he made sure the actors felt comfortable in their own characters, and the visual effects in this movie are straight out of a comic book. That was probably one thing I loved most about this movie. For a DCEU movie, it was colorful. Not like that Zack Snyder crap where he wants you to feel like you are wearing sunglasses the entire film. But it was just a self-aware superhero movie that wasn't oversaturated with filters. Now, there is a lot I like about this movie, but there are reasons why I would say this is simply a fun movie and not a good one. The biggest issue with this movie is that the writing is bad. Something that has been a big issue with a lot of these DCEU movies is that the writing is just terrible. Man of Steel, bad writing. Batman v Superman had bad writing. Well, and amongst other things. In Suicide Squad, where every 15 minutes the movie constantly reminds you,
we're bad guys, it's what we do.
This movie unfortunately suffers from this with bad lines, bad jokes, and not knowing how to get to the next scene. I wish I was kidding. My buddy who I saw this movie with pointed out how many times a scene would transition with a random explosion. This is just lazy writing, but it almost seems intentional because 3 out of the 4 times a random explosion happens, Atlantean guards would come onto the scene to arrest somebody. I'm sorry, but it's lazy. Another issue I had with the movie was things would magically happen in the movie just for the sake of the plot. For example, Aquaman and Mera are in the Sahara Desert, and Aquaman gives Mera crap for them being stranded in the middle of nowhere. But in the next scene, they magically arrive in a completely different part of the world. They just glossed over it. There was also a certain childhood story reference made earlier in the film. And then later on in the movie, Mera does some cool water magic in front of some little girl. And the little girl walks away and comes back to give Mera the children's book it referenced earlier. What? So some redheaded stranger is doing some cool water magic for me. I'm gonna grab her a book that has nothing to do with her water magic to show her I appreciate her. Listen, I'm not trying to be dense and make fun of something that might have gone over my head, but why did this moment happen in the movie? I'm just curious. It didn't add to the plot. It was just a weird thing. It was a weird setup for a joke. It made no sense. Another complaint I had about the movie was the subtle oceanic message that it was trying to convey at times. Like how us humans keep trashing the ocean and therefore the antagonist's goal seems somewhat justified. This wasn't happening too much in the movie, and it was actually pretty well balanced for the most part. But the more I thought about it, what more could humans do to the people of Atlantis than dump their trash into it? Yeah, I mean, what other complaints do people living in an ocean have for people living on land? It made sense. I guess a villain couldn't have motivations come out of thin air or water like that and for us to be okay with it. The motivation, though preachy, did make sense. My last complaint about this movie would be the thing that made me almost boycott the movie to begin with. That is Ocean to Ocean, or as other people call it, Pitbull's cover of Africa by Toto.
From ocean to ocean, sea to sea, I'm something that you gotta see.
Gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do.
Stupid. Overall, this movie was a blast for kids and adults alike. It was colorful. Aquaman actually cares about saving people in this movie, and not just to beat up the bad guys. It is definitely worth seeing, and I believe the DCEU is continuing to go in the right direction. There, I said it. I'm a huge Marvel fan, and that doesn't make me not want to enjoy DC movies. However, I've been trying to root for DC for a long time. I've been trying to root for their extended universe for a long time. And I really enjoyed this movie, and I hope they make more like it. Overall, I will give this movie a 7 splash attacks out of 10. What did you think about this movie? Let me know in the comments, or you can let me know on Twitter at Zalemann Productions. If you like what you've seen here, feel free to subscribe. Regardless, it means a lot to me that you watched. And I will keep making more. So, thank you guys. Take care.